Endaso-Giizhik, Ojibwe-Anishinaabe, Miskwaagamiiwi-zaaga'igan, That's my Ojibwe introduction. My Ojibwe name is Every Day. I belong to the Bear Clan, and I'm from Red Lake. And my English name is Robert DesJarlait.
Thank you, Robert. It's nice for you to be here today. I'm Becky Wolf. I'm a librarian, community embedded librarian with the Franklin Library and the American Indian Cultural Corridor.
When I began my art, I was invited to an exhibition in North Dakota when they opened up the Museum of Art, North Dakota Museum of Art. I went to Bismarck for that. But they used one of my pieces for the exhibition poster. And I got to be really good friends with the curator. And I was telling her about how I was going into schools. I had a slide program of all my artwork. So I'd go into schools and do a presentation and would teach kids about Ojibwe culture using my art. I wasn't just going into schools, I was also going to tribal colleges. And the curator, she said, well, you need to be careful because we lose a lot of artists to education. And I said, oh, I can handle that, no problem. But what happened is I got a little bit too wrapped up in education and kind of left my art behind. I wasn't doing that much of it. So it turned out she was right. I mean, there was a decision I had to make. Did I want to really educate about art? Did I want to be an artist? My feeling was educate through my art. But after I retired, I didn't really go back to my art. I had a lot of people that were suggesting that I pick up my art again, start painting. And no, I worked on a few projects here and there, but I wasn't really into my art. Then in 2013, I contracted cancer and had surgery, and my prognosis was really good. To me, it was like I was being given a second life. And I decided that in that second life, I was going to go back to my art. So I did a few things, and then in 2016, I had a recurrence of cancer. I had more surgery. The second time around was even more difficult because I went through 16 rounds of chemo. Really, really rugged the second time around. And it was then that I decided that maybe I really needed to go back to doing art as part of my survivorship. Part of it was not to let cancer hold me back, hold me down, and not let cancer define my life. So then I put together an exhibit which shown last year at Two Rivers Gallery. That was the Reemergence art show, and currently, and I put together a second art show which features some of the art from last year, but also has 7 or 8 new pieces. That's currently being exhibited up in Duluth. It's different because the pandemic has defined a lot of different ways for us. And like right now, we're talking. Normally, we'd be sitting at a table talking, but everything become virtual. So my art show is a virtual art show. As a virtual art show, it's been really successful. The only difficult thing is trying to sell artwork. One small piece sold at the beginning of the show, but nothing has sold since then. Buyers want to see the artwork. You know, I don't think they're comfortable with buying paying a decent price for art that's shown virtually. So that's been the only drawback of the art show, is not being able to have art buyers come in and look at the work. But other than that, it's been a very successful show. The pandemic has changed the art world. The exhibit is at a site called Art Steps, and there's all kinds of virtual exhibitions there. All these art galleries and artists are turning to the virtual world to continue showing their art. So we're still doing what we do. It's a little bit more difficult as far as buying is concerned, but
so because you've created such a variety of art and you've done different like mediums and different sizes, like large scale and small, how do you describe yourself as an artist? Yeah, so if you have to your bio, because you also include frequently your like Anishinaabe culture and traditions into your art too. So I'm just, yeah, how do you describe yourself?
that's always been a difficult question to ask a Native artist, because we were arguing about this back in the 80s. How do we define ourselves as an artist? Some Native artists just want to be known as artists. Others want to be known as Native artists. Some want to be known more specifically, association with their tribe, so they want to be known as tribal artists. I don't know. I've always defined myself as being a Ojibwe fine artist. My whole concept of art revolves around Anishinaabe concepts.
And our final question is about your work currently. So if you have any projects that you're excited about or what you're working on now.
Well, I have all these art supplies now. Some of the stuff came to me through different grants that I got. And I'm overwhelmed with art brushes and all kinds of paint. I got watercolor board, and I have ideas. There were probably 3 or 4 paintings I wanted to put into that Duluth show, but I didn't have time for. But for now, I think I'm gonna move on to something different. I'm also a writer, and before I got back to my art, I was working on a book, and I did a lot of work on it. My mind was just focused on writing that book. The book is related to cancer. It's about 2 young people, 2 children, Native children, Ojibwe children, who are dealing with cancer in their lives. A novel geared towards 12 to 14-year-old children. So that allows me to write something more like a novel. And so I set all that aside when I decided to get back to my art. And I was going to go back to the book after I finished researching. Then came the opportunity to do art show up in Duluth. So what I'll do now is I just kind of set art on shelf for a while. I want to move forward on getting back to my book. I got to get back into that mindset. Part of this is asking myself how much I can accomplish with what's left of my life. I'm 73. I'll be 74 in November, and realistically, how much more can I do? I'm not going to live forever, and there's also a question on how long before some of my abilities start. And right now, I think everything is going really good, and as far as my health is concerned, and uh, my thinking process, and uh, so what I'd like to do is do my book next, because I also want to be known not only as an artist but also a writer, and that's because I'm a creative person.